Hi, I'm Juliahenze, an artist, urban sketcher, and art teacher dedicated to guiding you on your creative journey. I'm also the founder of Brave Brushes Studio, a membership for amateur artists and urban sketchers that will help you unlock your creativity and find peace and joy in the process. This month, members of Brave Brushes Studio are learning the essential techniques you need to make expressive sketches with colored pencils. The first step in that process is understanding the different types of colored pencils and how to choose the right ones for your sketching needs. So today I'm sharing a taster of the first lesson in this short course with you. Okay, so let's start with the pencils, our main material here for this adventure. As you can see, I have a lot of pencils here, or not, I have many and many more than you see here, but these are the pencils that I want to show you how they work, what the differences are, and what is important to keep in mind when you buy new ones, or when you choose them to draw, to make your sketches. Maybe you've ever heard that we have pencils that are wax-based and oil-based. And maybe you even know what the differences are. But I think that for us, as sketchers, this difference is not very important. I talk about pencils more like some of them are hard pencils and some are soft pencils. Why is this important? This is because you use different softness or hardness of the pencil for different types of sketches. The main difference between wax and oil-based colored pencils is that wax-based colored pencils blend better than oil-based. And we do not blend that much. Actually, we never blend with sketching. It's more a technique for realistic sketches or for realistic drawings, and this is not what we're going to do in this adventure. We will focus on sketching. So for us, it's all about the hardness of the pencils. Also about the color, of course, but we will talk about that a little bit later. Okay, now let me show you when I use harder pencils and when I use softer pencils. Let's start with the harder pencils. Hard pencils are great when you want to draw with sharp, clean, elegant lines. When you have a detailed sketch, when you want to vary the thickness of your lines, or maybe add some hatching, like in this sketch, for example. You can sharpen the point and create very, very thin lines, and like here. And this is something that is quite difficult to achieve with softer pencils. Softer pencils, on the other hand, are really great for adding textures to your sketches, for example. On top of watercolor or gouache or even markers, they also usually have more beautiful, more intense colors. Like in this sketch, for example. Here I used colored pencils on top of a watercolor. I first painted with watercolor and added colored pencils to create more depth, to add shadows, to add more textures, more beauty to my sketch. And as you can see, it looks very nice and very expressive due to colored pencils. Here I use a combination of harder and softer pencils, and as you can see, it also works very well. So you can add some textures to your sketch when you use softer pencils. Here I use my favorite turquoise to add more beautiful color to my sketch, but also to create more expression, add more expression to my sketch. And for these thinner lines I use, and also here I use harder pencils, and that allows me to create firmer, sharper lines, and also add textures actually, but it's a different kind of textures where we try to show that there are a lot of different plants, that there is a lot of going on. It's not the same as the textures in the sky where we only try to create an expression. And using this pencils with different hardness, we can create a nice cohesive sketch using the sharpness of the harder pencils and softness and intense, more beautiful colors of the softer pencils. Now let's take a look at the pencils. There are a lot of different brands on the market nowadays. There are softer ones, there are harder ones, there are a lot of brands, but how can you choose your favorites? I think that the only way is actually by trying them out. What I usually do, especially when I can't try them out in a store, is buying a small set of colors, like 10 for example, or 12, and see how they work. A better way, of course, is if you have an art store where you can try them out before buying. So I sometimes go to my local store and after trying some pencils out, buy a bunch of them of different brands, and usually a few of them become my favorites. And of course, over the years, I already know what brands are my favorites, but I'm still curious and I keep trying out different brands, different lines of the same brands, and also different colors. Let me show you my pencil case and what I have inside it. This is my current favorite set of pencils that I always take with me or I always use for my sketches of any kind. My favorite soft pencils are Caran d'Ache Luminance pencils. They have very beautiful colors. They are highly pigmented, just perfect. My other favorite brand of soft, beautiful colors is Derwent Lightfast. A little bit harder, but really great for adding textures to my sketches. This strawberry color is, for example, one of my favorites. A really beautiful dark red color. And as for the harder pencils, polychromos from Faber-Castell are really my favorites. Beautiful colors, a little bit different, less pigmented, but absolutely perfect for drawing people, for example, drawing with sharper lines and adding smaller details to my sketches. Another difference that we also have with these pencils is the price. These are cheaper pencils. There is nothing wrong with them. You can use them, also this one. You can use them for the line work. They work great, especially for practicing. But when we talk about more beautiful sketches where the color plays a great role, then I would suggest using more expensive colored pencils, and that's because the difference between these ones and these ones is that there's much more pigment in the more expensive pencils. It's the same as with watercolor. In student grade watercolor we have more binder, less pigment, and in professional watercolor we have more pigment and less binder. It's exactly the same with colored pencils. The more expensive pencils have more color, more pigment in them, and that makes them more expensive, but you also can create more expressive, intenser, and more beautiful sketches. And you don't need to have a lot of them. Even if you have only a few, you will already see the difference. Now let's take a quick look at my more and less pigmented colors of my favorite brands. Softer luminance and lightfast and harder polychromos. Let's do some reds, for example. I don't know, I don't have really a red color from polychromos, I think, but let's compare these ones, for example. You can see that there is much more pigment in this pencil, and it creates a much brighter color. Now let's take an orange, for example. This one is also very bright and beautiful, and if we compare it to this orange, you can see it's also quite bright, but not as intense as this color, which is very rich. I hope you can see the difference. Okay, so the next thing that I want to discuss, I so often get this question about the difference between pastel pencils and just regular colored pencils. Let's take a look at this difference. For example, if we take this, or let's do this blue color. This is the firmer line. This is a harder pencil, and we can create a firmer line with it. We discussed it already. And this is a pastel pencil, a very beautiful color, by the way. But you can see that it's a much softer pencil. Again, the same as this softer pencils that I have in my case, like luminance. These pastel colors are great for adding textures to your sketch. The disadvantage of them is that they are so soft, you need to fix them on your page, otherwise they will smudge, and you can see here that they smudge very easily. If we do it on this go over this Caran-d'Ache luminance pencils, you can see that they smudge a little bit, but I have to use a lot of pressure to smudge them. It's the same here, and also here they don't smudge at all. These are the polychromos pencils. Okay, so this is all about the pencils. What I want to discuss next is the difference between different kinds of paper. But before I do that, I want to show you something very cool. When your colored pencils get very short, I have here, by the way, a pocket with short pencils that I still keep using sometimes. But if you want to use them a little bit more often, you need an extender, and this is this thing that you can use for extend the length of your pencil. Very convenient. So this is the thing that I really like. But you need it for every single short pencil, and it's a little bit more difficult to keep them in the case then. Okay, so now let's talk about paper. Look, here I have two different sorts of paper, and this is a very smooth paper that I usually use for the harder pencils. You can see that let me get it here. You can see that drawing on this paper, this is extra smooth Bristol paper, and you can see that the lines get even sharper than we had them here. And this is a really great feature for sketches like this, for example. This paper is also smooth, but this is even smoother. So I prefer to sketch really sharp sketches on paper like this. The smoother the paper, the sharper the lines. For the softer pencils, you can also use them on this smoother paper. But when we use them for on top of watercolor or gouache, I would suggest using textured paper, because you can see that it adds even more beauty to your sketch. It's more textured, it's more interesting, like here, for example. Here I think the difference is obvious between this and this paper. So for softer pencils, it's really nice to use a more textured paper. You can also get more texture out of your harder colored pencils. So more textures on more textured paper, less textures on smoother paper. So it depends on what you want to create. This paper is much better for sharper lines. Something different that I get a lot of questions about: watercolor pencils. I don't want to talk about these colored pencils that long, but I just want to show you that there is a huge difference between colored pencils, the regular colored pencils, and watercolor pencils, because I very often get this question: can I use watercolor pencils instead of the regular colored pencils? And usually the answer is actually yes, but here is the big difference between the water-soluble and the regular ones. As you can imagine, you can also just draw with this pencils on your paper, also on this paper. They are quite hard, by the way. But if you use water in your sketch, and like here, for example, if you first painted your scene and then you add color to your sketch when the paper is dry, then it's great. You can use it for your sketches as a regular pencil. But if you make a mistake, for example, and you need to repair it somehow, or you need to apply more water to your sketch, then you will see that your colors will, your colored pencils will behave as watercolor. So you can also go over this part and add the colored pencils again, but it doesn't look very beautiful anymore, right? Like the regular pencils. So I would say if you don't have regular colored pencils, of course you can use these watercolor pencils, no problem at all. Just keep in mind that they actually require a very different technique that what I'm not going to discuss in this adventure. And just as experiment, if we apply water to this colored pencils, nothing happens. Okay, so this is the difference. Also, something that I use on top of my sketches, on my watercolor sketches, for example, are white pencils. I have here some black paper, that's the best proof, and some white pencils. And let me show you how they differ from each other. This is harder pencil from Winsor & Newton. It's watercolor pencil, by the way. It's a little bit softer, so if we can get a pretty white, bright, sharp line. Let's try another one. This is even a softer pencil, also quite visible. But if we use this, a very soft pencil, and this is a pastel pencil, then you can see that the difference is huge between these pencils. So I would suggest, if you want to use white pencil on top of your gouache watercolor, for example, or just on toned paper, I would suggest using pastel pencil, but just don't forget to fix it, because otherwise it smudges very easily. So the softer the pencils, the easier they smudge. Okay, so the last thing that I want to discuss with you is how to choose the colors for your own limited set. I would always recommend to do that instead of buying a pre-made set, because very often they put colors in them that you will never use, and that's the waste of your money. So my idea of buying colors is when you buy 2 or 3 shades of the same color. So here, for example, I have 3 different shades of greens. The lighter one, the mid-tone, and the darkest. So these are my main colors for all the greenery I actually sketch. I also have this green color to add a little bit more variation to my sketches. But actually 3 shades of the same color are yeah, really great. Actually, exactly the same thing is for yellows and reds. I have a yellow color. It's not the same color, of course, but it's how you get from yellow to a darker color. Let me see, by the way, I think this will be the next color. So the lightest will be yellow, then we have orange, and then we will get to the darkest version of yellow, orange, whatever. And if we want to make it even darker, it will be a color like this. This is aubergine. So try to choose your colors in this way. So you start with the lightest one, it's a warmer yellow, then you have orange, also a warm color, and then you have strawberry, for example, or maybe you want to make it red. This could also be the next color to this one. It depends on what you want to draw, and this will be the last one, the darkest one for shadows, for example. We can, of course, also vary the pressure when we do some hatching, and this way we can also get from a lighter color to the darker one. So vary the tone, vary the shade of the color, but you can see that it's still the same red color. It's a little bit less interesting in your sketches. And I would say it's the same for blues. I don't have 3 blues. I think 2 are actually enough. I have a lighter blue and a darker one. I would maybe like to have even a darker one, but I still can't find the right color. So I think this color, this is really my favorite color. It's cobalt blue, darker cobalt blue, and this is such a beautiful color, quite dark also. So I don't actually need a darker color, a darker blue color. Yeah, so it didn't fit here. Okay, so and the very last thing that I want to discuss with you are the eraser. 2 things actually. The eraser. We don't use this very soft eraser for colored pencils. You can try, but it's a little bit too soft to get rid of the lines. It's very difficult, by the way, to remove the colored pencils lines. Somehow they are so pigmented that it's really much more difficult to remove them than when you use graphite pencil. But it's not impossible. You need a little bit firmer eraser, not too firm, by the way, because you can damage the paper and then you get rid of the color, but your paper won't be that beautiful anymore. So it's something to think about, but middle hard eraser would work great. And the last thing I want to discuss are the sharpeners. I have actually 2 of them. This is my favorite, and you can this is the holder. You can put it on the edge of your table, and it works really great for colored pencils. They are all very sharp, as you can see, and you can make them even sharper. You can vary the angle of the pencil sharpness. I have also this one. This is my kind of travel sharpener. A little bit less good, but also good enough for sharpening my pencils on the go. Now that you know how to choose the right colored pencils for your sketching needs, the next step is to practice the right sketching techniques. For the rest of the month, Brave Brushes members will focus on learning how to apply these techniques to urban sketching, landscapes, and sketching people. We will also meet at the end of the month for a live sketching session. If you've been wanting to learn how to make colorful, expressive sketching with colored pencils, this is a great time to become a member at bravebrushes.com. You will gain access to our supportive Facebook community and have the opportunity to ask for personalized feedback in our monthly Q&A sessions. I can't wait to see what you create, guys. And if you are watching this after November 2024, you'll get instant access to this short course when you become a Brave Brushes member. You can also complete more than 20 other focus courses on topics such as basics of urban sketching, perspective, and color theory. Over time, these structured courses will teach you the foundation skills you need to improve your artistic confidence and develop your own style. Let me know in the comments what your biggest challenge is when sketching with colored pencils. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Happy sketching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.